everyone, so I have a new tutorial for you guys. Not on a cosplay, but on my DIY baby gym. I started with this PVC pipe hoop that I had laying around, and I measured the middle, so the widest part. And then I used some newspaper to visually be able to see how big I wanted my blanket to be. And diagonally will be the same measurement as I just took. The length and the width will depend on which shape you would like your blanket to be. I taped together my newspapers once I had the shape that I liked, and then I started making some squares and rectangle shapes. I marked all the different pieces and then cut them out. It's a good idea to take a picture here so you can refer back to it. Then I just put each individual piece on 2 layers of fabric. I chose some old denim and cut this out with about 1.5 centimeters of seam allowance. Then I took some of the pieces that had to go next to each other and I put them right sides together and pinned them so I can sew them all with a straight stitch. I do this per 3 or 4 and then connect them all together. It's smart to iron before you start sewing your edges around. Next I cut my hoop in half, slightly off center, so my one half will be about 2 centimeters taller than the other half. Then I decided I wanted to put a border around it. Mine is about 10 centimeters wide, but you can choose however wide you want it. Then I pinned it right sides together on the quilt. I started on the bottom and the top, and once that was attached I did the other halves. I also took some scrap denim to make some loops by folding the outsides to the middle and then folding it in half, and then stitching over it with a straight stitch. Those loops I attached on the corners between my outside strip and the quilt. This is gonna be what attaches the hoops to the blanket. So I did the same with a blue border on the other quilt. Then I put both quilts on top of each other, right sides together, and sewed around it, leaving one gap about 20 centimeters wide on one of the edges. Again, sewing all of this with a straight stitch. Next, I cut off the extra fabric at the corners and then folded all right sides out. I had this old blanket that I cut out a part that was the same size as this quilt, and then I put this inside, making sure all the edges lined up and all the corners lined up. Once I had everything in place, I pin around the entire edge, making sure the blanket is between the 2 layers. Then I take it back to my sewing machine and then put a straight top stitch all around the edges, locking the blanket in place and making sure that my 2 layers don't slide. You can use a pretty big stitch for this. Next I take my Dremel with a saw bit and I cut out a diagonal piece out of my PVC, about 1 centimeter away from the bottom. Then I took a sanding bit to smooth out the edges to make it more rounded, and then went back in with some sandpaper to make sure that there are no sharp edges. So this is what it's supposed to look like, and then it will lock in with those little loops. I somehow lost the footage of me sewing the fabric around the PVC pipes, but I just took some stretchy fabric and sewed some long funnels with elastic hoops and 2 pieces of denim in between. The denim is in the bottom hoop in the middle to connect the 2 hoops together so they won't fall over. And then fold it right sides out and push the extra fabric inside the PVC pipe. You can fold over the blanket like this, so you can just put it away behind your couch or under a table or somewhere. Or you can take out the hoops, fold up the blanket, and then store it somewhere. The blanket is completely machine washable. You can remove the fabric around the PVC pipes and wash those as well. And that's it. Your DIY baby gym is ready. I hope you enjoyed this video even though it wasn't cosplay. If you want to see more videos, you can subscribe to my channel. And if you have any requests on what you would like to see, you can leave them in the comments below.